Right. I've been watching the cricket. I've just finished watching England defeat India in their first test, and something just came to me. Talk about rugby, because sometimes the human brain just works like that. But anyway, what am I talking about? Yes, I'd like to touch on Argentina's win over the Lions at the weekend. And boy, that was a monumental win for Argentina. I mean, they're a competitive side, and I think it'll be a bit disingenuous of me to say that nobody gave Argentina a chance. But if that's the case, I will say that. But I don't think so. But for me, I think Argentina's win over the Lions, I think this is this goes on record along with their win over the All Blacks 2 years ago, and their wins over the Springboks and Australia. But with that win over Lions at the weekend, I've just got to think to myself: at what point do they really start becoming competitive? Because Argentina, they really are a bit of an anomaly. So sometimes, I mean, at one tournament, they can reach the semi-finals of the Rugby World Cup. So take 2015 and 2023, and then at another tournament, they failed to finish outside the group. What I should say is, they failed to qualify from group, and that was the case in 2019. So for me, you really do have to think, okay, at what point do Argentina become okay, how do we kick on from this, rather than being the type of team that goes like, oh, we had a good tournament, and then go into the next one and just completely forget everything. Like, for me, Argentina, they really are interesting to look at in rugby, because as I just said that they're interesting. Sometimes they do well, other times they just don't do well at all. There is no consistency with Argentina. Like, you'd like them to be, say, not quite in New Zealand or South Africa, but at least have the consistency of Ireland when it comes to tournament rugby. Like, if you look at Ireland's Rugby World Cup record from 2011 to present, it's quarterfinal. And for me, that's what Argentina should be doing. Well, what Ireland should be doing is getting better in quarterfinals, but at the moment, they just can't do that. But anyway, forget about Ireland. About Argentina, though, it really is interesting to see what they're doing. Like, having beaten the Lions, do they now go, okay, yeah, having beaten the Lions, they really do have to kick on from there now. I mean, the Rugby Championship is coming up, and that's all. Yeah, so continuing on with Argentina, I mean, yeah, of course, their victory over Lions was monumental, but now it's about how they can kick on from this, because the Rugby Championship is coming up this year, later in the summer, and you got to think to yourself, like, at what point are Argentina no longer being seen as plucky underdogs? Or, to phrase that question in a better way, when will Argentina stop being seen, or rather be stopped being seen as plucky underdogs? And yeah, I could phrase that question a lot better than that, but oh well. Because if you look at Argentina in the Rugby Championship, it's like third, fourth, pretty much since 2012, with the exception of when they finished second in a revamped tournament, when it was revamped back to the old Tri Nations series back in 2020 because South Africa didn't participate because, COVID and all that stuff. But anyway, yeah, looking ahead to this year's Rugby Championship, will Argentina be competitive? Yes, they'll be facing the likes of New Zealand, South Africa, and Australia. But for me, I've got to say that Argentina have got to be looking at being really competitive this year, rather than being the type of team who goes, oh, we'll just see how well we do, because that used to be the case with Argentina earlier, like during early mid 2010s. But for me, they've got to start thinking, or if they haven't already, okay, how can we be competitive in this tournament? Like, because what we don't want, because what can't be afforded for Argentina is to have like a third, fourth place finish again with a solitary win over a South Africa or New Zealand or Australia. If you know what I mean? Because for me, people have been calling them the Italy of the tournament, which is true to a degree, but this has got to be a time where Argentina are being taken seriously, rather than constantly being seen as one of those teams who just gets a plucky win. Because for me, Argentina are no longer that. They have got to be a team that will compete. But yeah, that's all that was on my mind really. But where do you think Argentina can be in the next 6 to 12 months? Like, or where do you see them coming in this year's Rugby Championship? Like, because for me, I think Australia, they're not doing too well at the moment. South Africa, New Zealand, they're probably going to run away with it again. I mean, and I say, and we know that Australia, they're not doing too well. I mean, hang on, let me just see where Australia came in the Rugby Championship. Hang on. Yeah, so just in that Australia finished bottom of the pile in last year's Rugby Championship tournament. And that came just a year after being dumped out of the Rugby World Cup at the group stage. Like, yeah, if there is no better time to face Australia, then I don't know when there is a better time to face Australia than now. Well, not literally now, but I mean, Argentina have got to think to themselves, Australia are there for the taking. And if Argentina can beat Australia twice and then beat either New Zealand or South Africa at least once, then yeah, for me, for the first time, Argentina will be talked about as title favourites if they weren't so last year. Like, so let me know your thoughts. Can Argentina be genuine title favourites this year? If so, why? And if not, again, why? But for me, at some point, they've got to be started talk. I can't even say that correctly. They've got to be talked about as genuine title favourites at some point, because they've been in the tournament since 2012 now, and in the early days, yeah, finishing third or fourth was seen as good enough, even though from Argentinian circles that wasn't good enough, or at least I'd like to think so. But yeah, over to you. Can Argentina genuinely fight for the title this year? I'd like to know your thoughts.